Good morning, everybody. Mike's MMA Picks here with your Fight Morning Quick Card Breakdown Show brought to you by BetDSI as well as MMA Oddsbreaker. We're here for UFC 280, where we have, my goodness gracious, 5 rounds scheduled for 5 rounds. Charles Oliveira taking on Islam Makhachev. Then we also have TJ Dillashaw taking on Aljamain Sterling, and a number of high-profile matchups. Looking forward to it. 12 fights. Let's get ready. First fight of the night, where we have Lina Lansberg taking on Karol Rosa. Karol Rosa in her late 20s. Lina Lansberg, 40 years of age. Lansberg impressed with her striking, her willingness to hang in the fight against Tani Kienzed. In this bout, she's up against a Karol Rosa who is going to pour on the volume, is going to look to try to split Lina Lansberg open. Lina Lansberg is the elbow queen, but she also has a propensity to get cut in her fights. If I were to make a play on this bout, I'd probably lean towards Karol Rosa to win via decision in the minus 120s, minus 115s. Women's MMA fights are typically extremely volatile. You look at the Betch Kohea Sujara Eubanks bout, and that is a fight that really comes back to haunt me in my dreams. And in this specific spot, Karol Rosa has the volume, has the pace, has the cardio here to cause Lina Lansberg some issues. One thing I will say, though, is these two ladies have a propensity to get caught up against the cage and clinches. And Lansberg, although she's technically known for her striking, she can get caught up against the fence and also can stall out there. So just be aware. So the pick's going to be Karol Rosa, and to do so via decision. Next up, flyweights. Thank goodness for men's flyweights fights. That's been my bread and butter for quite some time. We have Mokaev taking on Malcolm Gordon. Now, both of these fighters are riding 2-fight win streaks in the UFC. Malcolm Gordon, 14-5 record, somebody who, one thing I'll say about him is the kid's a gamer while he is conscious. Now, when he gets hit by strikes, you watch the Sue Mujerji fight. There have been others where he will just get flatlined, and the fight will turn on a dime. Muhammad Mokaev against Johnson last time out really showed us that he has turned a corner as far as fight IQ, and that's something in this matchup. Mokaev has Gordon beat by leaps and bounds in many aspects of this fight. Mokaev minus 1,300 at the betting window. Malcolm Gordon plus 700. Whew. Now, Mokaev could have been had for literally half this line at one point, minus 645-ish. And I'm not a fan of playing lines like this. I wouldn't advocate for a minus 1,300 or anything close to that. I would say that in the minus 600s, you could have used Mokaev as a parlay piece if that was your style of handicapping. But there are a multitude of ways of attacking this fight. The under 1.5 is one way of going after this one. Also, the fight doesn't go the distance, was hovering in the minus 120s. And now it's up to about minus 300 or so. Mokaev inside the distance is a solid look. I see that Mokaev has the ability to go here. Also, this bout is taking place overseas and in the larger octagon. Mokaev is going to look to put on a show here, and I'll be picking him to win inside the distance. We've got a few comments here. Good morning, Evan. Pleasure to have you on board here. Congratulations. Also, as far as the CLV goes, congrats on hitting that. I sat on the sidelines for that line for a couple of different reasons. And the women's MMA is extremely volatile. So I hope that cashes for you. And I've been contemplating playing Rosa to win via decision, because you look at both of those ladies and they tend to hit the scorecards. The only thing that I'm concerned about is the skin getting cut open on Lansberg, and that ending possibly via a cut stoppage. All right. Next up, we've got Armen Petrosyan taking on AJ Dobson. Petrosyan coming in as a minus 205 betting favorite. AJ Dobson plus 165. Now, the Malkoun loss by AJ Dobson seems to have aged fairly well here. Dobson, wrestler who is, I loved hearing Mark Coleman, the Hammer, in his corner. Petrosyan minus 205 at the betting window. Somebody who lost to Borralho, who's a wrecking ball out there, man. Somebody who will come in and take you down and grind you out. And I suspect Borralho is going to be able to do that against Muradov. But in this spot, I'll be picking Petrosyan. I think that he has a number of tools here to cause Dobson problems. One thing about Dobson, though, he's somebody who, when he commits to his strikes and when he forces the action, can have success. But as we've seen, he can wilt under pressure, and Petrosyan isn't going to go away. He's somebody who the Rodriguez fight, go back and watch that one. It's difficult to win a decision off of Gregory Rodriguez. I remember sitting in sub-0 degree weather up in Lake Placid while I watched that fight between Gregory Rodriguez and Petrosyan. I'll be picking Petrosyan in this matchup. I see him winning this fight via decision as well. So take a look at that prop. Actually, we have fight doesn't go the distance at minus 280. Ooh, man, I see that fight getting extended for a while. All right, next up, where we have Abubakar Nurmagomedov taking on Omar Gadzhiev. Omar Gadzhiev, now this is a weight class change. Somebody who's coming down from middleweight, sitting at plus 130, taking on Nurmagomedov, who fought David Zawada at one point, and we got caught in that spot. Somebody who it's interesting. This bout, I went back and watched the tape, and I'm not sold. I'll be honest, I'm not sold on either fighter. Omar Gadzhiev plus 130 at the betting window. Somebody who is a fighter who will compete and will give it everything they have. Nurmagomedov, we can trust what we're going to get out of him here. I'm going to be picking Nurmagomedov, and I'm a bit torn in this spot, though. I don't have a solid read on this bout. Closely lined bout. The pick's going to be Nurmagomedov. All right, let's see what we got here. Moise, good morning, sir. Pleasure to have you in the house here. Appreciate you as well. Let's get back to business here, where we have Makhmud Muradov taking on Caio Borralho. Borralho coming as a minus 205 betting favorite. Somebody who is going to grind. He's going to look to take this fight to the mat, and that's what he does best, man. He could potentially lock up a submission as well. We saw Muradov last time out against GM3, someone who, man, he threaded a needle there against Muradov. Muradov looked like he was going to take care of business, and fell short. I'm not sure. I don't believe in flukes, and I could say that he possibly underestimated his opponent, but I can't get into his head. In this spot, Borralho, I believe he has the more threatening takedown game and also more threatening ground game. He'll be my pick here at minus 200. That's could be potentially a dangerous spot because Borralho is a man. You know, anybody can get caught by a competent striker, and Muradov is that. He's also coming overseas here in Abu Dhabi. I'll be picking Borralho to win. That is going to be the official pick here. Next up, wow, this is a fight that this line has hung out around minus 130, minus 140, minus 145 for Sean Brady. And I've sat on the sidelines for months here contemplating whether or not to make a play. But I'll be honest, there are some things about Sean Brady's game that are still question marks to me. And that's what it comes down to and why I haven't pulled the trigger, especially also considering Belal Muhammad has shown us what he's capable of inside of the octagon. And he's somebody who does not quit on himself. Sean Brady, same thing, you know, was his fight last time out a fluke? Was it an anomaly? He was struck and also looked like he was fading against Chiesa. Chiesa had Brady in some trouble in some spots. Now, Brady, extremely dominant on the mat. When he gets a hold of his opponents, can take them down and control them. Sean Brady has the ability to take Belal Muhammad down and control him. Now, is he going to run out of gas? The Jake Matthews fight, very impressed with him in that regard. Also, somebody who's undefeated, unblemished. First time going overseas like this to compete. And Muhammad has the cardio edge here. As far as striking goes, I will give a slight edge to Belal Muhammad. He has a well of different strikes he could use to cause Sean Brady some problems. Anytime Sean Brady's in space, he seems like he's vulnerable. I know he's been working on that, but it comes down to, can Sean Brady grapple hard for 15 minutes? Because he's going to have to close distance here. He's going to have to take this fight to the mat, and not sure if he's going to be able to lock up a submission. Muhammad has some solid submission defense, and he's usually the offensive grappler, Muhammad. So this is an interesting situation here. I'll be picking Sean Brady, but ever so hesitantly. I'm not sold on Sean Brady yet, and maybe folks are getting some value here on Brady because he might come out here and just have his way from a jiu-jitsu standpoint and an ability to control somebody on the mat. But I have to see this in action. All right. Wow. We have the first scale miss, first weight miss of the day between Katlyn Chookagian and Manon Fiorot. Manon Fiorot coming in as a minus 220 betting favorite against Manon Fiorot, who is a physical fighter. We've seen her really put it on other opponents, and Chookagian, let's be honest, most of the time she's putting it on the air. And the grunts, the tennis sounds should be in full effect here for Katlyn Chookagian. As a plus 180 underdog, I'm concerned about the weight miss. This is somebody who has never experienced that in her professional career. Manon Fiorot is a fighter who seems to be on the rise, somebody who understands the magnitude of this moment. Chookagian has had her foot almost out the door, and Fiorot is going to be the pick here. But one of the keys, I have to mention this: volatility in women's mixed martial arts is a real thing. And when you're handicapping fights, you want to talk about some variance and the ability to improve from fight to fight. It's one of the reasons I've spent this year staying off of a lot of women's fights, unless they're fighters like Jessica Andrade and Weili Zhang and fighters who you know exactly what you're going to get every time out. So Chookagian, I'll say this about her: you know what you're going to get when she fights. She's somebody who is going to she's going to throw a lot of strikes at the air. She's going to grunt. She has a ground game that we don't typically see, because she doesn't have the strength to finish those takedowns, and she can get out muscled. And I think that's what's going to happen here against Fiorot. So give me Manon Fiorot. Next up, wow, this is one of my favorite bouts on the card. I have a couple of them. The main card is worth the price of admission here. Beneil Dariush taking on Mateusz Gamrot. Mateusz Gamrot coming in as a -220. Betting favorite, someone who has a cardio edge in this spot, somebody who has a willingness to change levels early and often against Dariush, who's been a stalwart of this division, somebody who that left hand's like a piston out there, man. It will come at you in a few different angles, and that kick, the body kick, got to watch out for Dariush's body kick. But then you look back at Gamrot's last fight, even in a controversial win, I thought Gamrot really impressed me. I was actually on Armen. I thought Armen won that fight. And in this spot, Dariush is going to have to get Gamrot out of there, in my eyes. Gamrot has the much better cardio. Dariush seems to start running on fumes at certain portions of the bout. I'll be picking Gamrot here, and I believe he has the tools to dispose of Dariush and do so in dramatic fashion. So by dramatic fashion, what do I mean, though? That's the thing. I was very impressed with Gamrot's win against Armen. Also, the Stevenson fight, that was very impressive as well. Locking up a submission there. Now, Dariush is the better submission grappler. We don't see much of it these days. And I don't think he's going to have I don't think he's going to be locking up a submission here against Gamrot. Gamrot is fighting out of a great team, out of a great camp. Also, it'll be interesting to see if Master Rafael Cordero's in Dariush's corner here. I'll be picking Gamrot to win. Let's see. Marcus, you love Sean Brady in that fight. Belal Muhammad's last 3 wins were against fighters on the decline. I agree in regards to Wonder Boy. Maya, Luke, correct. Brady got nostril surgery. I'm aware of that. And the cardio, that's one of those things, man. You could train as hard as you can, and under the bright lights, sometimes the cardio will fail you. You could be correct, and I have no play on that bout, but I'll be watching, and I'll be supporting you. I hope that bet cashes for you. Now, we have a fantastic matchup here between Petrosyan and Sean O'Malley at 135 pounds. Petrosyan minus 275 at the betting window. Sean O'Malley plus 220. Now, when you look at this fight, O'Malley, he has the length, he has the height, he has the reach advantage, he has the early volume. But one thing about O'Malley is he tends to be a front runner in a lot of his fights. And when he's faced with adversity, we saw it in the Chito Vera fight, and even against Munoz, wasn't pulling the trigger, was somebody who, I mean, he was concerned about what was coming back at him. Let's be honest. He knew those leg kicks were coming, and he was late on the trigger. I got the yips against Munoz, and I was on O'Malley there. I was concerned with what was going on. In this spot, though, you have Petrosyan, who is somebody you can trust, is going to fight hard for your money, somebody who has overcome adversity in past bouts, someone who is going to be cognizant of where he is inside of the octagon at all times, and his striking defense, his willingness to go when he has to go. I know that this is a 3-round fight, and that Petrosyan has started slow, but you think anybody has gotten into his head that has told him that he's in a 3-round fight here, that he has to press? I think that it will come naturally in this fight, and that Petrosyan is going to systematically dismantle Sean O'Malley, especially the longer the fight goes. And I wouldn't be shocked to see a late stoppage here via TKO. So I'll be picking Petrosyan, and also some of the lines out there as far as submission props go. I saw plus 1400-ish. Some wild lines for the submission prop for Yan. So inside the distance is going to be the pick here. And I also believe if you were lining this fight a fight or two ago, and Aljo, that fight didn't happen, look at what this line would be. Yan hasn't taken any damage in the past fight or two. The Sandhagen fight, that was one he showed you how great he is in that bout. Sandhagen, I believe, would have his way with O'Malley here as well. They're similar as far as height and reach goes, but Petrosyan's going to be the pick. Next up, where we have Aljamain Sterling taking on TJ Dillashaw. TJ Dillashaw coming in as a plus 145 underdog, and Aljo minus 175. Now, this is a situation where can I trust TJ Dillashaw? One thing I can trust is that he's going to give me a hell of an effort. It's a guy who will fight his ass off for you every single time out, and he's willing to do whatever it takes. The guy will shoot himself up with EPO. The guy will he'll get in your face and he'll try to take you down. And the Lineker fight, that was very impressive. The Cody Garbrandt fight, a situation where he's actively engaged in a firefight, will go life and death. Aljo, I love what I've seen from him as far as his fights with Brett Johns and others. He's cashed against Sandhagen for me. And in this spot, the the back-taking ability, the age discrepancy, it's something to be aware of, though. TJ Dillashaw is, in my eyes, the better athlete here, somebody who has a great gas tank. We've seen he can go, even injured, can go very deep in fights. Somebody who is he's a smart fighter, even though he is doing stupid things like taking the EPO against Cejudo. We didn't see that fight take place for very long, but we saw that Dillashaw, if he gets cracked, can be put in trouble. Dillashaw, though, when we're talking about this fight, Aljo isn't necessarily the best, most powerful striker. So I'm not concerned about Sterling winning this bout via knockout. This fight is a 5-round fight. Aljo has the potential to lock up a submission here. I'm concerned about the volume for Dillashaw. Dillashaw can get off, and I posted. I know the fight was a long time ago, but the Borralho fights, it was insane the amount of the pace. I believe it was the 4th round that Dillashaw came out, looked like he was fresh as a daisy, and I mean that can be explained. The EPO in the system, it really was life changer for a lot of fighters who faced Dillashaw. And we've heard about it both inside and outside of the gym. The stories that have leaked, it's disturbing. In this spot, I'll be picking Sterling, but I've stayed away from this bout. I think that this is a dangerous spot. I think that Sterling, I know he's taking on an older fighter who could potentially be off of substances, but Dillashaw looked phenomenal. I had Sandhagen beating Dillashaw last time out, but he kept that fight a lot closer than it should have been. In this bout, I'm picking Aljo, though. All right. Next up, main event of the evening. Charles Oliveira, Islam Makhachev. Makhachev coming as a -200 betting favorite, somebody who has the ability to stifle opponents, someone who has the ability to smother, to slow cook opponents. He's going to have a dangerous fighter on the other side of that octagon. Charles Oliveira coming in as a +160 betting favorite. This is a hell of a matchup. This is a fight that could have taken place a while ago. Oliveira has gained some momentum, gained some confidence. They say the champion has a name. Interesting spot. The striking, when you break it down and you watch the footage, it's pretty clear that although Oliveira puts himself in danger, he is the much more proficient striker in this spot, the much more technical fighter who has the ability to turn it on. And Makhachev, he's fighting to set up his takedowns at all times. He's not looking to get in extended exchanges on the feet. And Makhachev is going to have to ground Oliveira to have success in this bout, as far as I'm concerned. I'll say this too, and I didn't mention this in the Belal breakdown, but to have Khabib Nurmagomedov in your corner, that extra set of eyes and ears, I know they're not fighting for you, but that does help exude a little bit more confidence and potentially could keep Makhachev safe at times here. But I'm not banking on that. I'm going to actually be picking Oliveira here. I think that his willingness to go into the fire and throw caution to the wind in an attempt to bring home a victory is going to be the difference maker here. I see Makhachev getting caught actually by a strike on the feet. And also, I'm not going to go out of my way and bank on Oliveira being able to sweep Makhachev. I don't think that's going to happen, but I could see Oliveira landing a combination, some sort of elbow in the clinch that stuns Makhachev, and then turning that, parlaying that into a submission. That's a viable path to victory. I'm not completely sold on Makhachev. I don't think that this is a Bobby Green Makhachev matchup here. I think that there's much more life in that underdog on Oliveira, and it's gonna take a while to slow cook Charles Oliveira. He's not gonna just give up on himself out there. This is a fighter who looked phenomenal on the scale, was jumping up and down, and you bring up a good point about the reach advantage. I think that I think that he could potentially hurt Makhachev early here. And I understand why folks are trying to go the safe route and take the wrestler, the fighter who you know exactly what you're going to get. And the wild card is Oliveira here, coming out here and being aggressive and throwing caution to the wind. Now that might he might be going right into Makhachev's wheelhouse and get taken down right away, but I don't think he's going to give up on the first or second round. And I don't think Makhachev is going to be TKOing him. So you need Charles Oliveira to win inside the distance. And it's something I haven't played. I've been just sitting back and watching this line move out again. So let's see how far it goes. There's only a small bit of change separating the Oliveira money line versus the inside the distance line. I don't think like 30 cents or so. And I know we haven't seen Oliveira go the distance very often, but when you only have 20, 30 cents separating that line, just take the money line. But interesting bout. I understand why everybody's on Makhachev here, and I want to wish everybody the best as they take in all that is UFC 280. Remember to go get what's yours, my brothers. And another thing, when you're breaking down fights and when you're listening to folks who break down fights, just make sure that you're listening to folks who are legitimate long-term winners. Go get what's yours, my friends. Have a phenomenal UFC 280 fight day. Remember, the fights start at 10 o'clock p.m. 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. So have a great day.